So, deep breathing was important to my dad. I don't know about you guys, but I could use a deep breath. So I want us all to take one mindful breath together. Thank you. My dad was a remarkable man, and you're going to hear all about the ways he was remarkable. And I want to tell you about his remarkable ability to connect. There's all sorts of ways of connecting, but in particular, my dad was great at connecting with people on a personal level. And he connected with all people, from family members he met later in life through Facebook, to people he met on the streets. It didn't matter. All it took was just a couple minutes with my dad, and you walked away with a feeling of true connection. But connection doesn't just happen on its own. To truly connect with others on a personal level, you need to be empathetic, you need to be curious, and you need to be full of respect. My dad did all these things exceptionally well. My dad's empathy was seen in his ability to sit with us when we were going through hard times. He wasn't afraid to go to uncomfortable places. And everywhere he went, he brought that mantra of his, no blame with him. Probably the least judgmental person I know. His curiosity is seen in the fact that he was a lifelong student. He read everything from novels to religious texts to food blogs to scientific and legal journals. It didn't really matter. He read it and it kept him moving forward. Like so many of us, he spent a lot of time in his own head, but unlike most of us, he continually restocked those shelves up there. In terms of respect, I think his respect is most easily seen in the fact that instead of ignoring the privileges he was born into, he used them for good. My dad never let a fight go by when a fight for justice was needed. And that's the ultimate respect. So why is connecting with each other so important? Why was it so important to my dad? I mean, first off, I saw firsthand how the little random, everyday connections he made truly made his day. I got countless phone calls where he told me about an interaction he had with someone sitting next to him on BART, or a service provider at Comcast. And he took such joy from those little connections that they literally made his whole day. And hearing about them, of course, helped mine at least a little bit. But more than that, connecting with others freed my dad. It freed him of his own self-imposed binds. Maya Angelou famously said, "You only are free when you realize you belong no place. You belong every place, no place at all." And my father's belonging was not tied to any one group or place. He found belonging every place because he connected with others every place he was. My dad found belonging in the most natural and human of places, personal connection. So this power allowed my dad, who as a child belonged nowhere, and as a man was often stagnated when he was alone. His power to connect allowed him to find love and joy and, yes, freedom wherever he was, as long as he was with us. And now what can we learn from that connection? What can we learn from my dad's superpower? Well, I think personal connection and that sense of belonging every place is what we as humanity need to avoid, well, to thrive. My dad showed us this power and he showed us how to do it. So when we walk through these doors today, I ask you to join me in honoring his legacy of connection. Let's be empathetic. Let's stay curious. Let's vow to respect each other. Let's put a voice to the compliments for others that we think in our heads. Let's laugh often and not be afraid to cry. Let's brave the uncomfortable. And above all else, to steal my dad's favorite phrase, let's keep breathing. Thank you.
Well, you guys hear me?
Yeah.
This last week's obviously really sad. But I think, like my mom mentioned, kind of trying to stay in a sense of a place of gratitude. The last 31 years, I'm just going to take this off. The last 31 years with my dad has been a blessing. I had such an amazing father, and developed into my best friend, and a father-in-law and a grandpa. That just amazing. So, like Jimmy opened up, it's not the time, it's the quality of time. So, but let's talk about my dad's style game. We got to start with the shoes. The shoes was really interesting. The five-toe shoes, the casual slip-ons, the Crocs before they were Crocs. Pants, sweatpant game, really strong, pockets. But the one, I can't forget the glasses. The glasses were really amazing. Had like the wraparound, high-def glasses with multiple different levels. The Bill Lambier goggles, basketball, which is quality. But the one part of his game where he was strong was his hat game. His hat game was strong. So with that, he would There's one my dad's hat, so I got So I'm just going to share just from the hip, just kind of what he passed on to me, and he really passed on just immense love for many things, but I would say the three that to note is like sports and nature and animals, and like Corey mentioned was people, and always meeting people where they were with no judgment. And I think about how I am as a father and how it comes natural to be affectionate and to be loving towards my daughter, and how was that really passed down? And it just, for a man to pass that down to his son is unique, and my dad did it in such a way that I don't know why. I'm just loving and affectionate towards my daughter, and it comes naturally, and that's one of the best things. I would say besides Mark Vander, my dad has the strongest hug game, but Mark is probably second. But then secondly, like Corey mentioned, loyalty throughout some of my worst moments growing up and some of our family's strongest challenges. My dad was always there for all of us, and never abandoned us. But what demonstrated his love and loyalty to me the most is sacrifice. And the greatest sacrifice is to take on your own pain and someone else's pain, and away, we think stepping in front of a bullet for someone. And my soulmate, before I met Lisa, was my dog Milo, and the only person who loved Milo more than me was my dad. He loved that dog so much. And Milo, he got pancreatic cancer, and he was going to die, and we knew it for a long while. And my dad, he stepped in there when I was away, and he had some last moments with Milo, and he took that pain on for me, and he put the dog down. So that's, laughter. One thing I want to talk about with my dad with laughter is his really humble nature of his sense of humor. he played Monday night basketball, and I would ask him, if I didn't go with him, how many points did you score? And he'd go, oh, I dominated him. And then I'd ask, I'd say, well, how was the cruising club? You went with mom, we went to the cruising club. Oh, we dominated. Classic. But moments, my dad had a real appreciation for small moments. His mantra is keep breathing. And I think why he loved sporting events and nature and, you know, the weather event like my mom mentioned, it's just something like it's unique. You go to that sporting event, you watch that walk-off home run, or you see that lightning storm, or you stick your head underneath that waterfall, or your body surfing. It can't be duplicated. He loved that, you know. So, you know, it was kind of sometimes, yeah, I mean, really special. And then with adjustments, I do want to move on to adjustments. My dad would always say life is a series of adjustments. And he had many adjustments and was often animated during those adjustments. And expressing them. And, you know, he struggled with anxiety, but he was so good. It's kind of like, do as I say, not as I do, with these kind of Zen mantras. You know? He said his ideal state was comfortably anxious. But I kind of want to wrap this up with his mystery. You know, I think my dad loved hats for two reasons. One, he became bald. He used to have gray hair, and he had none, so it's protection piece, obviously. But it was a sense of mystery for him. He put on that hat, and he could be anyone. He could be sitting ringside at a championship fight. He could be on the dance floor at a Halloween event, and no one knew, who he was. He loved, But he was really, the one thing he didn't have a mystery of was, I think, kind of the circle of life and what's next. And that he was pretty comfortable with what his place was going next. That, that we're born and we grow and we die, and what's next, he was comfortable. And he didn't subscribe to, he was open to anything. And I'll leave you with this. We went to a talk about 5 years ago, and the guy said, we come into this world and we leave the same way with empty hands. But we really leave behind is our passion. And my dad left behind so much passion and so much, So I just kind of want to end with that. I love him, I miss him, but he's still right here with me. So, thank you.
I called Tony Pop Pop because that's a name that I gave him because it was easier to say when I was little. And one thing I loved about him was he would always play with me, like when my mom or dad was in the kitchen or doing something. And he was really great, and I miss him a lot. Pop loved to like play games on screens with me and text with me, but he also liked to play outside with me. And there's a video game called Minecraft. It's kind of both of them, I guess. I was like on the trip up to California, I was kind of bored and I was thinking about what would happen at this memorial, and I said, how about I play Minecraft and see what I can build there. the first thing I thought of was to make a church for him and build all the stuff that he liked a lot outside of the place. And so I built a church with like a little grave for him and like seats. And it's actually kind of like this church, but outside Pop loved to like get wet and play in water, so I built a water slide and you got fireworks. So I built some fireworks, and then if you hold down a lever, fireworks can shoot up. And yeah.
So everyone's done such a good job of not being so tearful, but I think I might ruin that. So sorry, but you might see my ugly cry, Boden said. So Tony's emails that we've heard of have always been epic. His texts also epic. And trying to think about something to say today, I thought I would just read one of his emails that he sent to us for Christmas, which is a family tradition. Used to be on paper, morphed into emails. And I think that this email is not probably unique to my family. I think that everyone in this room probably at some point has received some kind of an email or a text or an in-person conversation that went very similar. But this is just a really good example about how good he was at being supportive and sharing his love for us. So to Corey, who's my oldest son, you are special in many ways. Each year you grow as a man and you nurture this wonderful family in ways that I admire and learn from. I wish I was as self-conscious and careful of all those around you as you are. Whether in your workplace, where I know from staff and plaintiff parents you are adored and looked up to your marriage, where you are communicative and naturally loving, to the parenting of your babes who become themselves under your constant patient loving. You are the gift that your whole family gets to share, not just on Christmas, but every day. Briana, each year I am filled with the love you send my way. You have become the heart and source of excitement and adventure for your family, extending now through cousins and grandparents up and down the coast. I learned from your stoicism in the face of disease, all while bringing song and playfulness to your family and friends. And the love you send to me is truly like I get from no one else in the world, and has become precious to me. Boden, when other friends and family ask me what it's like to have a 7-year-old grandson, Boden, I tell them that it is about the best thing a grandfather like I could hope for. You are filled with energy and athleticism and a joy of being physical with your family and friends. I love seeing you be such a caring big brother to Lou, the best cousin any family could want. I hope Pop Pop can keep up with kung fu matches and tickle wars and hearing you sing and play music in this year ahead. Lucinda, you continue to occupy such a special place in this family. You are the one who loves sharing the attention you get with everyone around you, whether you are dancing or doing cartwheels or anything else you so fearlessly throw yourself into. I love being around you and laughing as you make your funny faces, all while being so sensitive to everything that happens around you. All my love to my family, Papa.